As creators, we're constantly striving to produce high quality content, engage with our audiences, and stay ahead of the curve. But have you ever stopped to think about what is really holding us back from achieving our full potential? For many of us, it's a lack of self-confidence. When we doubt ourselves, our abilities, and our worth, it can be crippling. We start to question every decision, every creative choice, and every piece of content that we put out there. This self-doubt comes in many ways. We might fear criticism from others. This one is really common. Worrying that they will dislike our work or think that we're not good enough. This is something that I have faced quite a lot. We might struggle with creative blocks, staring blankly at the screen with no idea of where to even start. Or we might compare ourselves to others, feeling like we don't measure up to our peers. These struggles can be overwhelming, making it hard to even start creating in the first place. Fear of criticism can be especially paralyzing. We pour our hearts and souls into our work only to worry that somebody will come along and tear everything down. This fear can cause us to hold back or to play it safe and to avoid taking risks. But as creators, taking risks is essential to growth and innovation. When we're too afraid to try new things, we stagnate and our content suffers. Another challenge we face is the pressure to constantly produce high quality content all the time. I mean, you go on YouTube and you see others produce amazing work and we feel like we need to keep up. But what we often forget is that everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own struggles, and everyone has their own successes. So comparing ourselves to others is unfair and unhelpful to ourselves. It leads to feelings of inadequacy and low self-confidence. So to combat these struggles, we need to develop strategies to boost our self-confidence. One technique that works for me is positive affirmations. By repeating positive statements to myself, I can rewire my brain to focus on my strengths rather than on my weaknesses. Another tool that I use is visualization. I imagine myself succeeding, achieving my goals, and overcoming obstacles. This helps to build confidence and develop a growth mindset. Seeking feedback from others can also be incredibly helpful. When we surround ourselves with supportive people who believe in us, we start to believe in ourselves too. We can learn from constructive criticism, using it to refine our skills and improve our craft. And we can celebrate our successes, no matter how small. This helps you to build momentum and to reinforce positive behavior. My own journey with self-confidence has been a winding one. I remember times when I felt completely stuck. Let me just take a pause now and cast my mind back on my content creation journey. Self-confidence has really been an interesting point of focus in my journey as a creative. In the first instance, I would say on a scale of 0 to 10, when I started my content creation journey, my self-confidence was probably 3 or 4 because, hey, I didn't know much. I didn't really, I hadn't mastered the craft and so on. But I realized that in order to get to the next level, I would have to be brave. And so I constantly put myself out of my comfort zone. I'm usually the kind of person who likes to just stay behind the scenes and not be out in front. But if you're a wedding photographer, you have to be out there in front. If you're taking photos at an event, you have to be out there in front. If you're doing portraits for people in a studio, you have to be front facing with people. It's not like the work of an editor where you can hide behind a screen and just do your work. And so I had to dig deep and build up my self-confidence. When you're holding a camera, you have to be out in front of people. But the interesting thing about doing this is that the more you do that, the more experience you get. It's like photography rewards you by giving you back more self-confidence. So it's like a cycle. What you put in is what you get. You first have to put in some self-confidence. You have to put in some bravery. And over time, the game puts it back in you. And so I can also say that my journey into photography and filmmaking has actually built my self-confidence. So the creative journey, my creative endeavors have blessed me back in return by making me a more self-confident person. Because I can also remember that many years down the line after starting my journey in photography and filmmaking, I found that whenever I had an opportunity to shoot a wedding or cover an event, I went there with a full dose of confidence. In fact, I have a wedding coming up sometime mid-July and I feel confident, even though it's been a while, but I feel confident because this journey has built that in me. My confidence muscles, my bravery muscles have grown. And so that's my message to you in this reflection, that just start by building up your self-confidence? If you're someone out there now and you feel you lack self-confidence, you're afraid of criticism, you're afraid of people seeing you and putting yourself out there, you feel very uncomfortable being in the public eye, which is what you have to do to be a creator, then start by just pushing yourself. Every step you make or every day that passes and you push out a little confidence and a little bravery is going to return back to you like 100-fold over time if you keep doing what you're doing. So let's get back to the video. I remember times when I felt completely stuck and unsure of how to move forward or what to create. But then something clicked and I started to focus on my strengths rather than my weaknesses. I began to take risks, I began to experiment, and I began to push myself outside of my comfort zone. The more I created, the more confident I became. As I look back on my journey, I realized that self-confidence wasn't something I either had or I didn't. It was something that I could develop over time. By working on my mindset and by building my skills and taking action, I was able to transform my creative process and produce work that I'm truly proud of. In conclusion, self-confidence is not just a nice to have, it's a must-have for creators. When we believe in ourselves, we're more likely to take risks and experiment and push the boundaries of what is possible. We're more resilient in the face of criticism and we're more likely to achieve our goals. So, what are your thoughts on self-confidence? Have you struggled with self-confidence or self-doubt or fear of criticism in the past? Share your experiences in the comments below and let's talk about this. If you're looking for more tips on enhancing your creativity, be sure to check out my other videos and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.